The Galactic War for the Fate of the Universe, a tale of heroes, villains, and intergalactic conquest. The universe was vast and extended beyond anything that could be imagined, but it was not infinite. It was filled with countless galaxies, each with its own unique blend of stars, planets, and other celestial bodies. And, somewhere amidst it all was a war that was being fought for the fate of the universe. A war that had been raging for ages and would continue to rage until the very end of time. The conflict was between two groups: the Galactic Federation, which was made up of hundreds of species from across the universe, and the Zorg Empire, an ancient civilization that had been around since the beginning of time. The two factions were locked in an epic struggle for dominance, with their sights set on conquering the universe. The Galactic Federation was led by the wise and venerable species known as the Elders. They were the oldest and most experienced race in the galaxy, with technology and weapons that were beyond anything the other species could comprehend. The Elders had been fighting the Zorg for centuries, but the conflict had reached a new level of intensity in recent years. The Zorg Empire was led by the enigmatic and mysterious Zorgon, who had been in power for over 1,000 years. Under his leadership, the Zorg had become the most feared and powerful force in the universe, with fleets of ships, armies of soldiers, and weapons capable of destroying entire planets. The conflict had started when the Zorg began expanding their territory, conquering one planet after another. The Galactic Federation saw this as a threat to their own existence, and they launched a massive counterattack, with fleets of ships headed by the best pilots in the galaxy. But the Zorg had prepared for this, and they had their own fleet of ships and soldiers, commanded by the best generals in the Empire. The first battle had been fought on the planet Gargantua, a desolate wasteland that had once been home to a thriving civilization. The Zorg had come to conquer the planet, but the Federation had other plans. In a fierce battle that lasted for weeks, the two sides had fought to the bitter end, with both sides sustaining heavy losses. But, in the end, the Federation emerged victorious, with the Zorg retreating back to their own territory. But the victory had come at a great cost. Many of the Federation's best pilots and soldiers had been killed, and their ships had suffered severe damage. The Elders knew that they could not sustain another battle like that, and they began to make plans for the next stage of the conflict. The next battle would take place on the planet Azura, a beautiful world with lush forests, majestic mountains, and crystal-clear oceans. The Elders had chosen this planet as the site for the next battle because of its strategic location, which would allow them to launch their attacks without fear of being flanked by the Zorg. The battle began in the early hours of the morning, just as the sun was rising over the horizon. The Zorg had deployed their ships in a tight formation, and they began firing their weapons at the Federation ships as soon as they came within range. The Federation ships responded with a barrage of their own, and the two sides began exchanging fire in a deadly dance. The battle raged on for hours, with both sides refusing to give an inch. But, as the day wore on, it became clear that the Federation had the upper hand. Their ships were faster, more maneuverable, and better armed than the Zorg ships, and they began to cause serious damage to the Zorg fleet. In a last-ditch effort to turn the tide of the battle, Zorgon himself entered the fray, piloting his own ship, the Black Star. The ship was massive, and its weapons were capable of destroying entire planets. Zorgon seemed invincible, as he tore through the Federation ships like they were made of paper. But the Federation had a secret weapon of their own. A young pilot named Ace, who had been chosen by the Elders for his exceptional skills, had been given a new ship, unlike anything that had ever been seen before. The ship was called the Phoenix, and it was equipped with a weapon that could destroy the Black Star. Ace flew his ship straight at the Black Star, dodging and weaving through the hail of enemy fire. The Phoenix's weapon charged up, and then let loose a burst of energy that engulfed the Black Star, destroying it in a massive explosion. With the destruction of the Black Star, the battle was over. The Zorg were forced to retreat once again, and the Federation had won another victory. But the war was far from over. Zorgon had survived, and he was more determined than ever to conquer the universe. The Elders knew that they needed to be better prepared for the next battle. They began working on new weapons and technologies, and they recruited the best pilots and soldiers from across the galaxy. They knew that the fate of the universe was at stake, and they were willing to do whatever it took to win the war. The next battle would take place on the planet Proxima, a world that was steeped in ancient mysticism and arcane magic. The Zorg had chosen this planet as the site of the decisive battle, believing that they could use the power of the planet's magic to conquer the Federation. The battle began in a blinding flash of light, as the Zorg unleashed their full might on the Federation ships. But the Elders had prepared for this moment, and they had developed a new weapon that could neutralize the magic of Proxima. The weapon was used, and there was a blinding burst of energy that engulfed the Zorg ships, destroying them in a dazzling display of light and sound. With the Zorg defeated, the Elders declared victory and established a new era of peace in the universe. The Galactic Federation had won, but at a great cost. The war had lasted for centuries, and countless lives had been lost in the struggle. But, in the end, it had been worth it. The universe was finally at peace, and the future looked bright for all those who called it home.